Have you ever wondered why certain women seem to carry a kind of magnetism, no matter their age? They aren't always the youngest in the room, and they don't always fit the conventional idea of beauty. Yet, there's something about them that pulls people in, something that makes others want to be close to them and keep coming back. This isn't chance, and it has nothing to do with luck. It comes down to specific habits and patterns of behavior these women have built and sharpened over the years. Habits that quietly make them impossible to ignore. Real charm isn't only skin deep. Genuine attraction goes far beyond a flawless outfit or perfect makeup. It comes from the energy you put out into the world, the way you carry your body through a room, and the quiet certainty you hold about your own worth. In this video, I'm going to walk you through 6 powerful behaviors that turn an ordinary woman into someone unforgettable. If you start putting them into practice, you'll begin to notice real shifts in how men treat you, in how often they reach out, and in how naturally you start pulling in the kind of attention that used to feel out of reach. Stick around until the end, because the 6th behavior is the one most women have never even heard of. And once you understand it, everything changes. Before we go further, it's worth pausing on something most people overlook entirely. Attraction isn't a single trait you either have or don't. It's closer to a skill set, something built one small choice at a time. That means it's available to anyone willing to practice it, not just the people who happen to be born with certain features or a certain temperament. Keeping that idea in mind will make everything that follows land differently. So, what actually makes a woman unforgettable? Most people assume it comes down to youth or physical features, but the real answer runs much deeper. A woman with years of lived experience can be far more captivating than someone younger simply because she carries something rarer, authentic confidence. She isn't asking herself who she is. She isn't hunting for approval. She already knows her own value and doesn't flinch from it. That kind of self-assurance draws people in almost against their will. Her history, the things she's felt, survived, and learned, has shaped the way she moves through the world. She's clear on what she wants, and just as clear on what she won't tolerate. That clarity makes her more selective about who gets close to her, and far less hungry for outside validation. She gives off something elegant, something a little unreadable. She doesn't hand over everything about herself right away. She understands that curiosity, left unsatisfied, does a lot of the work on its own, and that's really the core of it. Men aren't only responding to how someone looks. What actually holds their attention is the energy a woman radiates. Think about it. Why do some women who don't check every box on society's beauty checklist still command a room? Because they're giving off something harder to name: presence. The way they move, speak, and simply exist in a space becomes its own kind of pull. Once a woman learns to own that presence, people can't help but notice. She doesn't have to go looking for interest. Her energy brings it to her. Here's the encouraging part. None of this requires being born a certain way. It's the product of specific habits and choices, and any woman can start building them today. Now that you understand the kind of influence you're capable of developing, let's get into the first behavior, one that can start shifting how men see you almost immediately. Behavior 1. Confidence speaks first, before anyone registers your hairstyle, your outfit, or your makeup. The very first signal they pick up on is how comfortable you are in your own skin. Nothing pulls attention like a woman who trusts herself. It comes through in your posture, your tone, the way you occupy a room. A woman who knows her worth doesn't sit around waiting for someone else to validate it. She simply lives as though it's already settled. She doesn't need permission to take up space. Picture 2 women walking into the same room. One is conventionally attractive, but hunches her shoulders, avoids eye contact, and seems ill at ease in her own body. The other doesn't tick every beauty standard box, but she walks upright, meets people's eyes, and moves like she belongs exactly where she is. Which one do people gravitate toward? Confidence does the pulling. And the good news is that it isn't a fixed trait. It's something you can deliberately build into who you are. There's research behind this too. A study out of Webster University found that people who project strong confidence are rated as more attractive, even when they don't match conventional beauty standards. The reason is simple. Confidence broadcasts a message. I know my own value. I know what I want, and I'm not waiting on anyone's approval. That signal isn't just seen, it's felt, and it draws people in without any extra effort on your part. How do you put this into practice, day to day? Start with how you physically move through space. Keep your shoulders back and your chin level. Your body language communicates louder than anything you say out loud. Slouching or staring at the floor sends a message of self-doubt, while deliberate, unhurried movement tells the world you trust yourself. Slow down your speech too. Women who feel genuinely secure don't rush to fill every silence or over-explain themselves. Their words carry more weight because they're considered rather than reactive, and don't shrink yourself to avoid being noticed. Whether you do in a crowded room or just moving through your day, let people register that you're there. How you present yourself teaches other people how to treat you. Now, let's move to a behavior that quietly amplifies attraction in a way most women never fully grasp. Behavior 2, a woman who doesn't chase holds the power. Desire tends to grow in the space where there's a little mystery. Have you ever noticed a man who seemed distant suddenly start putting in more effort the moment you stop making yourself constantly available? That's not a coincidence. It's a predictable pattern of human behavior. A genuinely magnetic woman isn't out there begging for attention. She isn't desperate, and she doesn't outsource her sense of self-worth to how quickly someone responds to her. She understands that her value has nothing to do with someone else's reply time. The women people remember aren't the ones running after everyone else's attention, but they rare the ones who spark the urge to be pursued. Why does this work? Because people place value on what they aren't guaranteed to have. When a man is certain you'll always be there, no matter what, his effort tends to fade. There's no urgency to try. But introduce a little distance or unpredictability, and suddenly his interest sharpens. Think of a moment from your own life. Maybe a time you stopped texting first, or pulled back a little, and the man who'd been distant suddenly started calling more, noticing small details, or inventing reasons to talk to you. That happens because once something becomes too effortless to obtain, it can lose some of its appeal. But a touch of uncertainty keeps the spark burning. Men tend to enjoy the challenge, the unknown, the sense that they have to earn your time. That's exactly where the power sits. A woman who doesn't depend on a man for her emotional stability is the one steering the relationship. She's setting the tone rather than reacting to his. So, how do you build this into your daily life? Don't make yourself instantly reachable at all hours. If a man believes he can get your peer attention with zero muse effort, he's less likely to value your time. Let your actions, not your words, show that your life is already full and balanced. He can be part of it, but he isn't the center of it. Handled with grace, this means you stop having to ask for attention. It starts coming to you on its own. It's worth adding a note here, because this idea is often misunderstood. Creating distance is not the same as playing games or manufacturing drama for its own sake. The goal isn't to manipulate someone into chasing you through deception. It's to genuinely have a full life that doesn't collapse the moment a phone stays quiet for a few hours. That distinction matters because the version of this behavior that may not have been but actually works long-term is rooted in real independence, not performance. If you're constantly available, interest can start to fade. So give a man room to miss you, to wonder what you're up to grow curious about your life outside of him. Let him be the one to initiate. Sometimes, focus your energy on building a life you love, Don't spend your day waiting on a message to arrive. Get involved in things that genuinely bring you joy. Chase your own goals and keep investing in becoming a stronger version of yourself. Learn to actually enjoy solitude, to find something peaceful in your own quiet moments. A woman who's comfortable being alone radiates independence, and that self-assured energy is deeply attractive. Being a little detached doesn't mean being cold or dismissive. It simply means you respect yourself too much to plead for someone's attention. That self-respect on its own is enough to set you apart. People are naturally drawn toward those who clearly know their own worth. Now, let's move into another trait that women with real magnetism tend to share. Behavior 3. A personal style that reflects inner strength. Appearance does matter, but not in the way most people assume. Plenty of women believe they need to chase every trend or wear the priciest labels to be noticed. That's simply not accurate. What actually makes someone memorable isn't the clothing itself. It's how she wears it. A woman with a defined personal style carries herself with strength and self-assurance. She's not chasing trends. She's choosing pieces that feel authentically hers. And her look becomes an extension of her inner confidence, rather than an imitation of someone else's. That's what makes her memorable. Her look isn't copied, it's expressed. Picture walking into a room and noticing a woman moving with ease, dressed in a way that clearly suits her and feels genuine. She catches your attention without saying a single word. Her presence does the talking. A piece featured in Psychology Today points out that people are often drawn to someone not purely because of their looks, but because of how they carry themselves. Confidence changes everything. A woman at ease in her own personal style can outshine someone who fits every conventional beauty standard, but lacks that same self-assurance. This isn't about becoming someone else. It's about drawing out what's already distinctly you. To develop a style that leaves a lasting impression, start by choosing clothing that highlights your strongest features. Not every cut works for everybody, and that's completely fine. Learn which silhouettes and fabrics flatter your shape and actually feel good to wear. A curvier frame might be beautifully highlighted by a waist-cinching dress. A taller, slimmer frame might benefit from flowing fabrics that add softness and balance. Color carries its own kind of power, too. Each shade sends a different signal and can help express your mood or personality. Red projects boldness and passion, ideal when you want to be noticed. Black carries mystery and elegance, a timeless choice. White suggests calm and honesty, putting people at ease around you. Navy signals intelligence and leadership, well suited to serious conversations. Earth tones project warmth and approachability, helping build quick trust. Your hair and makeup should enhance your natural features rather than mask them. You don't need heavy makeup or an elaborate hairstyle to look striking. It's about bringing out what's already there. A bold lip color can add instant confidence. Healthy, glowing skin tends to read as more attractive than heavy coverage. A cut that flatters your face shape can transform your whole look. And a signature scent can make you unforgettable. Smell is closely tied to memory and emotion, so a fragrance that matches your personality can keep you in someone's long after you talk. Elf left the room. Look for something floral, fresh, sweet, or woodsy. Whatever genuinely makes you feel powerful, and let it be part of what lifts you every time you put it on. It isn't really about being beautiful in a conventional sense. It's about having presence. When a woman understands her own style and feels at home in it, people notice. That's what makes her captivating. Now, let's move to the 4th trait. The kind of feminine energy that naturally draws people close. Behavior 4. Feminine energy that naturally draws people in. Feminine energy plays a major role in attraction. But let's clear up a misconception first. Being feminine doesn't feeling equal being weak or dependent. It's actually the opposite. It's the capacity to influence without force, to receive without demanding, to attract without chasing. Feminine energy is the quiet trust that what you want will come to you without needing to control every variable. It's the calm certainty that things will work out and the ability to lead and inspire without ever losing yourself in the process. It's the reason certain women don't have to try hard. People are simply drawn to them. Some women fall into the trap of thinking they have to control everything to be desirable, steering every conversation, chasing after men, planning every detail down to the minute. But this often backfires. When you handle everything yourself, there's no room left for a man to step up or make an effort. When you occupy all the space, there's nothing left to wonder about. When you're too focused on control, your natural glow tends to dim. On the other hand, leaning into your feminine energy creates a calm, inviting presence, the kind that draws people toward you without any forcing required. Some women, regardless of age, walk into a room and instantly hold attention. They aren't dressed loudly. They aren't chasing perfection. They aren't competing with other women. They're simply calm, self-aware, and quietly magnetic. Research from the University of California suggests that men tend to gravitate toward women who appear calm, relaxed, and open in their body language, because that signals confidence and genuine feminine energy. That's the real difference between chasing attention and simply attracting it. There's also something worth saying about pacing here, since it doesn't fit neatly under the points above. Feminine energy isn't a performance you switch on for someone else's benefit. It's closest to a resting state you return to. The moment it starts to feel like acting, it stops working because people can sense the difference between calm that's real and calm that's staged. That's part of why rushing this behavior tends to backfire. So, how do you actually bring this energy into your life? First, let him take the lead. Sometimes, if you're always the one orchestrating everything, there's no space left for him to impress you. That doesn't mean silencing your own preferences. Just leave some room for his initiative. If he proposes plans, resist the urge to take over. Ask something simple like, "What did you have in mind?" and let him carry it forward. If he's genuinely interested, he will. Second, stay present in the moment. Many women unintentionally damage a good connection by fixating on the future. Will he text tomorrow? Does he want something serious? What if this fades? That constant worrying creates pressure that men often sense, and it can push them away rather than pull them closer. Instead, be the kind of woman who enjoys what's happening right now. The conversation, the laughter, the shared time without needing a guarantee about what comes next. If he seeks you out again, wonderful. If not, that's fine too, where sense of self doesn't hinge on his response. Third, speak more gently and with less urgency. Your tone and pacing are powerful tools of feminine charm. Speak with intention and let silence do some of the work, rather than rushing to fill it. That builds intrigue and holds attention. Avoid sounding rushed or overly forceful. Instead of over-explaining, let a pause sit for a moment. That restraint often communicates more than words ever could. In short, feminine energy is closer to an art than a formula. When you learn to relax, to receive rather than chase, and to hold a graceful presence without pushing, men naturally feel pulled toward you. And once you master it, you get to decide who actually deserves your energy. Up next is a behavior that takes your natural charm to a whole new level. Behavior 5. Mastering conversation as an art. A genuinely captivating woman understands that conversation is about far more than words. It isn't about talking non-stop or trying hard to impress. It's about building a connection that stirs curiosity and emotional pull. So she does this by saying less, but making each word count, by using pauses and silence to deepen a connection, and by cultivating a sense of mystery and depth in every exchange. Many women fall into the habit of filling every silence with chatter, over-explaining themselves, or telling long, detailed stories in an effort to hold someone's attention. But real charm doesn't work that way. Research in psychology suggests that roughly 80% of attraction is communicated non-verbally, meaning how something is said often matters more than the words themselves. The women who leave the strongest impression aren't the ones talking the most. They're the ones who know how to build tension, spark curiosity, and hold interest through presence alone. So, how do you bring this into your own conversations? Start with intentional eye contact. A single look can communicate more than an entire sentence. Hold a steady gaze for a few seconds, then look away calmly rather than avoiding eye contact altogether. A gentle smile, followed by a slow shift of the gaze, can create an almost instant pull. Next, resist the urge to share everything about yourself right away. Mystery plays a real role in attraction. Many women feel the pull to lay out their whole story in the first few conversations, but that often works against them. Keep your answers concise, and let him want to know more. A light, teasing line like, "That's a good story. I'll save it for another time." Leave something for future conversations. Sometimes what stays unsaid carries more weight than what's spoken aloud. It also helps to remember that mystery isn't the same as evasiveness. There's a real difference between deliberately pacing what you share and simply being guarded or dishonest. The version of mystery that actually builds connection still involves being genuine. It's just genuine in smaller, better timed doses, rather than delivered all at once. Learn to ask questions that spark real curiosity. The strongest conversations make the other person feel truly seen and heard, rather than defaulting to small, "talk about your day." Try questions that invite imagination. If you could live in any era, which would you choose? Or what would you attempt if you knew you couldn't fail? Thoughtful questions like these deepen engagement and build a stronger emotional connection. Finally, play with your tone and timing. Your voice alone can turn an ordinary sentence into something that lingers, or let it fall, completely flat. Speak at an unhurried pace. Keep your tone soft but steady, and let brief pauses build a little anticipation before you speak. Even a simple word like interesting, delivered with a short pause afterward, can carry far more weight than the same word rushed out. In the end, a woman who truly understands conversation isn't trying to impress anyone. She's focused on connecting. She leans on eye contact, silence, curious questions, and a touch of mystery. It was never really about saying more. It's about speaking with presence. The next quality takes your personal power even further. Behavior 6. Independence as the ultimate form of attraction. A woman with a full life of her own carries a certain mystery, strength, and staying power. One of the most common mistakes women make is letting a relationship become the center of their mort. But real attraction tends to bloom when you're already whole. When you have a life that genuinely excites you and a direction that pulls you forward on its own. Why does this matter so much? Because a man doesn't actually want to become someone's whole world. He wants to be welcomed into a life that's already thriving. Independent women hold a particular kind of pull. They aren't searching for someone to complete them. They aren't sitting by the phone hoping for a sign of approval. They have goals, passions, and a life rich with meaning, with or without a partner in it. Here's a truth worth sitting with. The women who inspire the most admiration usually aren't the ones working hardest to please everyone around them. They're the ones whose lives are already full of color and momentum, making other people want to be part of it. Men tend to be drawn to independent women because their energy communicates confidence, calm, and certainty. How do you bring this quality into your own life? Start with a goal that exists entirely outside any relationship. Your life shouldn't revolve around another person. Find something that lights you up, a dream or a challenge worth chasing, and take real steps toward it. Don't hand someone else the keys to your happiness. Living with purpose changes your energy. You become more grounded and more genuinely interesting. Second, choose your circle carefully. 4. The people closest to you shape your energy and your confidence more than you might realize. Step back from relationships that drain you and lean toward people who challenge you to grow and genuinely celebrate your wins. Friendships that lift you up will strengthen your presence in every other area of life. Third, keep growing. Don't let learning stop. A woman who's always expanding stays endlessly interesting. Read, travel, take on something new. Challenge your own assumptions. Personal growth builds confidence and depth, and it puts you firmly in control of your own direction. In the end, the strongest kind of attraction comes from how you live your life. You don't need to be rescued. You aren't waiting for someone to complete you. Your life doesn't have to orbit around romance for it to have meaning. You're already whole. And that kind of quiet self-sufficiency is one of the most attractive forces there is. And here's one last thing worth remembering. Real attraction has very little to do with age. It's about the energy you choose to send out into the world. If you've made it this far, you already understand something important. The deepest kind of beauty isn't about appearance. It comes from how you move through life. Your confidence, your independence, the energy that radiates from the inside out. Men rarely remember the woman who looked flawless. They remember the one who made them feel something, the one who stood apart, the one who carried her own light. Start living out these 6 behaviors, and you likely notice a real shift in how men respond to you, in how grounded you feel in yourself, and in the kind of opportunities that start showing up, not just in romance, but across every part of your life. Because attraction was never really about luck. It's about how you carry yourself through the world. Now, I'd genuinely like to hear from you. Which of these 6 behaviors do you already practice naturally? And which one are you planning to work on next? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. I always enjoy reading what you have to